Poland as soon as we are ready. So let's just jump right into it. All right, let's look at trade first. That's very important. So our maximum trade, we need probably to, let's actually look at some political shenanigans. So right now, I'm waiting for Belgium We're going to cancel the fascists support because they're already fully into fascism here. So they should naturally progress that way given the events in the environment. Thanks to everybody for joining our stream. Once again, we're about to kick off World War II, so this is a good time for us to join us. Not enough manpower or equipment to fulfill our garrison needs. Okay. All right. Missing the following equipment. Okay, well that will be worked out on its own. Inefficient resources. Insufficient resources. We need tungsten. Okay. Tungsten is actually not that hard for us to get. As long as Sweden remains neutral, we'll increase our tungsten. Okay, just getting right back into the swing of this. It's been a couple days since I played. So let's look at our production. So right now we're building up our radar capacity to give ourselves an advantage when it comes to air-to-air warfare. So that's something we're building up right now. These build up very quickly. So you can build up radar facilities relatively quickly. Let's look at our production of troops. We've scaled down the infantry and we've stepped up the mechanized units and paratroopers. Okay, let's look at logistics here. We're short of anti-tank because we just developed that. That's fine. Artillery. We have a surplus of artillery, so we can probably scale back our artillery 1 production. We actually have a surplus of infantry equipment. That's good. We need motorized. All right, so let's look at our production and see if we can tweak this a little bit. Let's scale back our manufacturing of infantry equipment. We'll scale back our artillery at this point. We need to increase our light tank production. We need to increase our motorized tank production. I think we could slow down our vehicle production by just a little bit. Our close air support, I think we can slow that down a little bit. Okay, we're working on our heavy fighters. Let's do another row of anti-tank production. That's going to be very important for us to develop as we are engaged in some defensive wars. So let's make sure we're progressing on that. Artillery is progressing well. Our all of our research is progressing well. All right, how are we on our next? Okay, we're working on Army innovations right now. As you can see, France is building up its forces on our border here. We should have plenty of troops to defend. As you can see, we've got 23 divisions here and 22 divisions there. So our defenses should be fine against France. So don't have to worry about that too much. All right, one thing we can do now is we can actually start working on placing our Air Force units. So let's do that. All right, we've really increased our capacity in certain areas. So let's see, let's got to spread out our support as much as we can here. I'm fine with using our interwar troop fighters here, as well as our upgraded fighters, because on the Poland front we're going to have much less of a threat here. So we're going to make sure we maximize Okay, that's a good initial force there. We want to make sure that we're dominating our initial attacks on Poland. Which we should be able to do with just a few airstrips. Okay. We're going to be a little short of air support on the Western Front. So we're going to put those primarily close to the front lines here. We're going to put our best fighters there. Now, it comes down to how many additional planes we can build out before the start of the war, and how much France wants to engage us in a conflict, because we have a decent defensive force here, not as much as I would like. One thing I do want to build more of, and we should make it a priority, is we do need to build some naval bombers. They're super important. And when we eventually go to war with England, we're going to need all those bombers that we can get. So let's maybe reduce our support equipment. I hate to reduce our tank production, but we can get back to that later. Let's lower our anti-tank. I want to build some bombers. Those will be super helpful later on. All right. Okay. In the meantime, we don't necessarily have to start war in September as we historically would. Okay, we have addressed the need for tungsten, although now we need 20. So, more tungsten? Yeah, more tungsten. Let's see, we can actually get it from the United States here. Another 16, just to get us ahead of where we need. That should address some of our needs. All right, research finished. Let's work on upgrading our anti-tank. That does mean we need to change production on our artillery to the newer model. It'll be a while to upgrade that, but that's fine. Our basic artillery is sufficient for our initial attacks. So I think it's time for us to, once we accomplish this army innovations, we're going to immediately go into Danzig or war, which will give us the ability to attack Poland. So that's coming up. All right, let's see what's going on actually. Pause this. All right, let's keep working on our... Oh, let's go to the next level of radar, which is very helpful. Let's look at the United States. What's going on with the United States politically? Because I've been working very hard All right, so they're almost at 50-50 with fascism and democracy. So hopefully this will encourage them to completely stay out of the war. It also makes England much more conservative if they feel that they're on the verge of being at a disadvantage in a war by not having U.S. support. They're much more inclined to let us have our way with continental Europe. All right, we're close to the army innovations. Then we'll go with Danzig or war to give us a reason to kick off our attacks into Poland. What are we still short of? More tungsten. We need more tungsten. All right, one more thing of tungsten. Tungsten is super important, so especially for anti-tank. So we want to keep those anti-tank units popping out. All right, we got army innovations. Army experience plus 10. Plus 200 research bonus for land doctrine. Available as chief of the army. Okay, that's good. Alright, now we're going to go with Danziger War, which will allow us to actually start thinking about attacking Poland. Alright, so once we get the ability to attack, I want to have our plans in order. So let's take a look at our large armor force. What I want to do is have it position for a lightning strike into Warsaw. So in addition to that, we have some additional we have unassigned divisions. Okay, that will take care of that. What we want to do is just push heavily in. Now we've got, we do have, take a look at our tank forces. All right, we have 12 airborne units, so let's get those up to speed. Get those assigned. And ready to go. Now I've got to first I've got to look at my Air Force and make sure that they are positioned correctly. Brandenburg. All right, let's get those transport planes over where they need to be. Okay, we got our transport planes. Now what we can do is we can actually set up a battle plan. Okay. All right, then we can also So our paratroops will be ready to go in to Warsaw once the balloon goes up, and then we're also going to rush in all of our forces in a straight up attack towards Warsaw. So that works pretty well in most cases. All right, we got our forces here. Which we need to assign to a commander. Their front line is going to be basically just defending our territories there, which are going to be probably swallowed up pretty quickly, but that's immaterial in the grand scheme of things. All right, we have a chance to modify government. And we're going to convert to we're actually going to give our armor a buff because I think we have the forces we need right now to move forward. Once we get this Danzig or war achievement, then we're going to be able to start this war. It'll be interesting to see what the other countries do as a reaction. Especially France. Let's give our Alright, let's give our forces here some extra personnel just to make sure we have plenty of troops to deal with the French when the time comes. Okay, that gives me plenty of troops in the French line. In the line against French. Keep in mind that these countries here are either neutral or they're our ally, so the French can only attack us in a very narrow window here. Alright, anti-tank upgrade complete. We can start actually upgrading our Panzers now, so let's do that. Alright, so we're already past the historical timeline for the start of World War II, very slightly. But we've got a significant numerical advantage, so I'm just working on getting as many troops as possible in a position where we could do the most good here. So Let's see if there's some additional mechanized troops that we can put in for a second armored push. Okay, we can actually do a recruit and deploy here. Let's get our last groups of... I think we have enough paratroops right now. So let's actually deploy and cancel. Deploy and cancel. Deploy and cancel. Deploy, cancel, cancel. All right, so we have some additional mechanized units. We might as well release those out. Deploy. All right. And again, this will give us a second armored thrust that we can then deploy. It's going to be a smaller armored thrust, but it should still be a significant force here. So let's get them set up here. So we're going to have 2 armored spearheads heading for Poland when the time comes. Plus, we're going to have a paratroop drop as well, so that's good. Alright, we should be close to Danziger War, which will allow us to kick off the war historically. As you can see, our radar is starting to show up here. This will greatly increase our air-to-air firepower. Okay. Very close to Danziger War. Here's a spoiler. We want war. All right, Danziger War. Okay. We'll do the air innovations next. All right, let's slow down time because time is critical right now. Poland refuses German ultimatum. Poland would be forced to cede Danzig to Germany, and a Poland paramilitary would be sent to Berlin to negotiate further terms. German and Polish forces are preparing for war. Reports are already coming in with clashes at the border. Okay. All right, so that gives us the ability to go to war with Poland. Which should happen momentarily. Okay. Gains conquer war goal against Poland. Gains core on Danzig. United Kingdom gains base war support plus 10%. France gains base plus war percent plus 10%. All right. We have the ability to go to war now. So let's make that happen. We're going to start by flooding the Polish airways with all of our planes. So we can gain air superiority almost immediately. Okay. Now we're going to actually execute. Click to activate the execution of the entire plan. Estimated plan value 60%. Plan is considered to be to our advantage. Inferior enemy 80%. Division still preparing. Okay, so as soon as we have air superiority, our troop transports will land. All right, only one thing left to do, and that's to declare war. Okay. Now that we've declared war, let's get this party started. All of our troops are immediately going to head for Warsaw. This is not going to be a fair fight. Let's just be very clear. This is going to be a not so fair fight in the extreme. All right, we're all set up. Alright, so we're going to achieve air superiority. We're going to have paratroopers drop into Warsaw immediately as soon as we get air superiority. And we're going to have all of our forces on the border just pour in. This is not going to be pretty for Poland. Here we go. Okay, so we are at war with France. Okay, everybody's picking their sides. All right, let's get our planes in the air. We're going to be fighting a defensive war at the moment. Against England and France while we carve up Europe. Alright, let's look at our construction queue. We need to really work on our military factory production. So let's max that out now. We don't have to keep our intentions secret anymore. Alright, so we'll crank up our military production. Join wars request from the independent state of Croatia. No. We're not going to share the spoils. Alright, we're going to keep this to ourselves from right now. Because we want our... we are at war. Alright, our fielded manpower is 1.2 million. Okay. Right, things are actually going quite well here. Our forces should push through to Warsaw very quickly. We have a huge numerical advantage. Alright, insufficient resources, oil. Not a surprise. Oh, rubber. Okay, fortunately our ally can provide all the rubber we need. Probably should step up our oil as well. All right, we're going to have some challenges with convoys. We know this in the short term. That's fine. That's why our Navy is not out to sea right now. All right, for some reason we're not getting air superiority, so we're just going to send in our airborne troops via ground.